are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it's the New York Knicks podcast, episode 543, part of Dash Radio. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
I am doing good. You know why I'm doing well? I am doing well because currently, as we are recording, there are preseason NBA games going on. And tomorrow night, the Knicks open up for their preseason. And basketball is back. And I need basketball badly to make me happy for a little while until it makes me angry.
I mean, I've been in basketball withdrawal too, and I was like, oh, you got Lakers, Nets, and so many All-Stars and all these famous people playing. And then you look at who's playing, and you're like, oh, this is like basically a summer league game.
Yeah. A lot of guys sit, but what are you gonna do? So I'll tell you on just a total side note. My son is now in fifth grade. Mm-hmm. His fifth grade teacher does something basically like a currency system where they can win fake money for doing good things, and they get charged money for like not hanging their homework or acting out in class. And anyway, if you earn enough money, you can cash it in for prizes. And so my son came home from school the other day and goes, "Dad, look, I got a Knicks poster from the prize thing." And I was like, "Awesome." He's like, "Can I put it on my wall?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's put your Knicks poster on your wall." And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, "Hey, who's number 4? Wait, is this? It's Dennis Smith." The prize was a poster of Dennis Smith. And my son's like, he's like, "Oh, what's wrong, Dad?" I'm like, "Well, he's not on the Knicks anymore." And he's like, "Oh, well, when was he on the Knicks?" I'm like, "Last season." He's like, "Can we still put him on the wall?" I'm like, he likes the Knicks too much. I was like, yeah, we're gonna put him up there. Whatever. I can't even get into how much I hate Dennis. Not even hate how much he couldn't have picked a more insignificant. She could have given out a more insignificant player than Dennis Smith for the poster. But now my son's room right now he still has the Kristaps Porzingis Knicks jersey in his closet. He's got an RJ Barrett one also, and now he has a Dennis Smith poster on the wall. It's Knicks, whatever.
Yeah, it's just funny because like it's not like he was ever. It would almost make sense if it was a player that contributed in the past and they had like leftover.
Right. It was
a guy who like never did anything for the team, like barely played. I didn't even know like a Dennis Smith Knicks poster existed on this planet.
Right. If it was like an Enes Kanter one, you would have said like, well, Kanter was like okay when he was here. He put up some points. Like I could see why they made a poster. Versus Dennis Smith, I'm like, why did they even make the poster?
Yeah. I mean, they must have been laughing when they were producing that. Who is this for?
It could have been an Ntilikina one. It could have been anyone else. It could have been a Kevin Knox one, who hasn't been very good, but I can totally understand it being a Kevin Knox one.
At least he's played in Knicks games.
I mean, whatever. I like that she's giving out prizes that are like the lamest possible Knicks in a poster.
It's a good idea. Maybe she can up her prize game.
I'm just happy he came home excited about having a Knicks poster.
You should write a letter to your teacher.
Listen, if you're going to give out Knicks posters, pick more relevant players.
It's like, listen, I host a massive Knicks podcast. There's like dozen listeners.
Okay, so we are going to talk Knicks because the season is about to start. Jay and I made some questions for each other to talk about, to get the conversation going. Mm-hmm. So at Knicks, I don't know if you saw this at Knicks practice. They had a poster on the wall basically with defensive musts and the offensive musts basically. Did you see this yet?
I did not.
Okay. I wanted to tell you and tell me these are the things the Knicks have to do on defense. I'm not making a joke or any bit about this. I mean, I just thought it was cool that Tibbs had this up. And I guess, do you think the Knicks are going to improve in these areas? Mm-hmm. Do you want to guess what the defensive musts are?
opponent 3-point shooting.
Knicks were one of the best in the league on that, so
Yeah, but it's still a must.
it's still a must. Yeah, yeah.
That wasn't one of them.
Well, it's under the category of challenge shots.
Challenge. So these are broad defensive things.
I'll give you.
Don't
one
let
for
the
you.
opponent score the basket more than you.
Transition defense, which is huge because that's actually a really important thing. A lot of teams don't do well in that. Knicks have struggled that in the past.
That's an actual thing, yeah.
Compete, which is kind of a generic one. Challenge shots. Defend physical without fouling. Early high hand.
In parentheses, Mitch.
Yes, yes. Hustle plays. First to the floor, charges, blocks.
Okay.
So, I mean, like, that makes sense. Like, you're always hustling, basically, and get, like, the little things, like charges and blocks. Stance and vision, which I'm not sure what that means. Think help without the ball.
Okay. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that they need to put in, like, effort.
I mean, if you watch this decade.
True.
Okay. And last one was gang rebound.
Getting rebounds.
Gang.
Okay.
Like a bang, but rebound.
Okay.
Which again also is like everyone basically is involved in rebounding. It's important. The Knicks they've suffered. If you remember last year, there's some games where they got killed on the glass.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they have some big guys, but like there were games where like the opponent was getting offensive rebound after offensive rebound. The Knicks have to be better on defensive rebounding.
Agreed. Okay. It's not a terrible list. It could use a little work, but it's not terrible.
Okay, the offensive musts.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think on here?
Well, since we had stuff like try, I'm gonna say
Try as well.
I'm gonna say movement.
Yeah, pace, sprint.
Okay.
The Knicks are always slow with the ball. Picking up the pace would be huge.
I don't know if you should sprint the whole game though. That would be like gassed first quarter.
But hey, we are have you not noticed the Knicks are very deep, so we could sprint and just substitute.
A little less deep today. Vildoza is waived.
That was yesterday,
Yeah.
Mr. I'm late to the party. Saying today. Come on, that was yesterday. And also, who cares?
Well, our show's not Twitter, so I wasn't able to record a Luca Vildoza goodbye podcast, so I'm saying it now.
Villanova, he probably two things that did him in were now the Knicks are much deeper at point guard with Kemba, and also the rookies have
I think getting
McBride looked a lot better. Also looked pretty good in getting McBride, getting IQ, having IQ playing the point guard, looking pretty good in summer league. They got Kemba, and Villanova's been injured also.
I would say getting 4 new guards definitely put a damper on his prospects for this team.
Right. I think also Thibodeau was quoted. They were asking about like who makes the team and so forth, and he just said like availability is a big thing right now. Basically alluding to the fact that Vildoza can't play right now. It's probably not worth trying to like reserve a spot for him.
Right.
And also, the guy who's probably going to take his spot is Bacon, and Doug Bacon, and their depth at he's more of a 3, and their depth at they probably if anything they probably need more depth at 3.
Yeah, makes sense. It's weird
anyway,
having like an actual plan and filling out like multiple players for each roster spot instead of just getting 18 power forwards and calling it a day. It's interesting.
I love so much of what I've heard about this. What Tibbs has been having the team work on. Have you heard? I'll finish this list real quick. Pace, sprint, spacing, which is important. Play with the pass. I guess basically passing a lot. Attack rim reads. Move without the ball. Offensive execution. Threes. Offensive rebound.
Okay.
A lot of things the team could work on. Have you heard what the Knicks players have been working on this offseason also? What Tibbs had them work on or what their goals were?
No.
A few of them, basically. RJ, Tibbs challenged him to become a elite perimeter defender.
Okay. That would be huge.
That'd be huge. For Noel, Tibbs asked him to basically learn to shoot from the outside. He's been practicing threes.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to shoot a lot of threes, but he asked him basically like learn to shoot a little deeper, basically.
I mean, that would help spread the floor, so that would be great.
And overall, he said he wanted this team to just shoot more threes.
Okay, well, I mean, in theory, they have more options at the 3 now.
Yeah, they definitely have more options.
Because, I mean, Peyton shot, 20-something%? So...
Yeah, Peyton was garbage. You just didn't want him shooting the 3, versus Kemba shot like 37% last year on, I think, 8 threes a game.
Yeah, that's huge upgrade.
Plus Fournier's a very good 3-point shooter also.
Yeah, I mean, Bullock is good, but Fournier's like in around the same, so...
I mean, and also Grimes and McBride, we're not sure how they're going to be. They haven't yet played an NBA game, but they both should be pretty solid 3-point shooters.
Yeah. I mean, I think was it McBride? He was the one who was supposed to be like the 3-point ace coming into the draft anyway.
Yeah.
So Brooklyn Adrian says, I think Randall's stats will decrease with all the offense we have. Do you agree? I think Randall is also asked to rebound more. I mean,
yeah, Randall has to ask to rebound more, and like I think they said playing faster and making quicker decisions.
He might score a few less points considering Kemba's going to be taking a lot of shots and Fournier too. It seems like he's the type of player who is more focused on winning than he is personal numbers anyway. So
Randall, yeah. Absolutely. I think the team. I mean, you'll have to see if everyone, the new guys, all adapt to this. But the guys on the team last year, I think, were all about figuring out a way to win. Like they put team basketball over everything else.
Yeah. He was also saying, we have too much offense for ISO ball, and I think the players we have only do ISO when they think there's not a lot of other options, as opposed to players we may have had in the past where that's all they wanted to do.
I mean, the team last year, if you look about the problems the team had, like there really weren't too many guys who could handle the ball, which prevented an issue. There were some points where Randall felt like he was a very good passer and hit open three guys for open for threes, but he also like at certain times he dribbled the ball too much or held on the ball too much because there weren't guys around him that could make things happen. So he felt like he always had to make things happen. I mean, the Knicks added between Kemba and Fournier added 2 guys who could really like do a lot with the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want to get into our questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, you lead up. You lead, Jack.
All right. So, Mitch is not going to be around to start the season. When he comes.
How long do we know how long he's going to be out for?
No, it's all like, they're going old school with this, where they're like he's out, not really sure what's wrong, and don't really know how long it's going to be. So.
Day by day, and we're going to use biblical days, so maybe a lifetime.
Right. So when he comes back, is he the de facto starter, or is this like a toss-up?
I don't think it's going to matter because I think Noel can't really play more than 25 minutes a game on a consistent basis. I know during the end of the season he was playing a lot more minutes, and obviously Mitch was gone for part of the season. I think ideally Noel to keep him healthy and everything else, 25 to 30. I think basically when they're both healthy, they're both going to basically split the time.
Yeah.
I think it's just it's not going to matter who's going to start. Both are going to split the time, and if you're playing well, you'll get the minutes. I think this will work itself out pretty well. What's going to be is Taj the backup to start the year?
He's going to have to be.
I mean, do you think they're going to give Jericho Sims a shot at the backup?
I don't. I think they play Noel 30 minutes, 32 minutes, and play Taj 16, 18.
I do think also with this team, a lot of the minutes thing, people are worried about like, how are the rookies going to get minutes and so-and-so is going to get minutes. I think the greatest thing that could happen for this team is McBride and Grimes and even IQ McBride and Grimes in particular, there's not enough minutes for them the entire season because everyone's so healthy.
I mean, that's best case scenario, I would think.
That's bad.
One of those rare situations where you're like, it's a good thing if the rookies don't play.
Yeah, if these rookies aren't playing, I want to see McBride. I want to see Grimes a lot. But if Kemba's like, didn't miss a game, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, because I mean, if they're not playing, that means Kemba and Fournier are healthy, which is the 2 biggest question marks going into the season.
I mean, there are a lot also. I mean, you also go into the season and you're like, Randall, I mean, he was healthy all last season and he doesn't have injury issues. could sprain an ankle. Things could happen to anyone. It's a long season. Everyone's going to miss 10 games, basically, at the least.
Yeah.
My first question, that was your question, right?
Yeah.
I guess my question we kind of just talked about already, but will McBride and Grimes see any serious playing time? Will these rookies become the new Frank in terms of if only the coach would play them, we'd win every game?
I don't think we see them until there's an injury, but you got to think based on the last couple of years, Kemba's going to miss a few games. We don't know the condition of his knee. He says it's great, but he's not going to go into the season saying my knee's jacked up. I don't know if I'm going to play more than 30 games. So like,
do you think the Knicks will like work in basically days off for him?
Probably. I mean, they're going to be very, very careful with him. So like, if they have a back-to-back, they're going to closely monitor that first game, and he might sit the next time. I think they're just going to be very, very cautious about it.
So Rose has already said, this is also not a problem because Rose already said, like, Kemba's the starter. No problem. I'm happy to back up. So there's no argument there.
Well, there shouldn't be because healthy Kemba's better.
Right, but I mean, Rose had a great season last year for the Knicks. You could always there could always be an ego issue being like, yeah, who's this guy? I was here already. I should start.
They definitely went with culture guys.
Yeah. So the question really is though, let's say Kemba doesn't play one night. Rose is the starter. Who's the backup? Are they going to go to? Are they going to go to IQ as the backup? Do they give McBride a shot as being the backup?
It's definitely IQ.
Okay.
I mean, IQ played really well his rookie season, so he's definitely going to get the nod. I mean,
I was thinking that maybe McBride would be like they may say like, sorry, IQ. They may say like, okay, we're making the backup shooting guard. Like we'll work in. I guess we'll see how this whole plays out.
There's a very realistic scenario where Kemba and Derrick Rose are both out on the same day, and then we see plenty of the rookies. I mean,
that's true.
You know,
I'm dying to see like Obi with IQ in a regular game. Like Obi's what? I guess go to your next question. I was going to ask you what kind of jumps you think IQ and Obi are going to make this season. Like, what do you expect from these guys?
Okay, we could let's do another one. I think Obi has been talking a lot about working on his game, like getting better. That's all he's focused on. So I think he's really put in the effort, and I hope that translates to on the court. I'm optimistic. And IQ seemed like he was already figuring everything out, so I expect him to be better too. So I'm not expecting like a quantum leap, but I do expect them to both be improved this year.
I mean, IQ said he also said that he was trying to work on his defense. He thought his defense was his worst part of it. It's like his weakest part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw in the summer league, he was already trying to work on his driving to the basket game, not always going for the floaters. I think ideally I'd like to see from him. If you like last season, he ended up shooting like 39% from three. He obviously can shoot the three.
Yeah.
I'd like to see less 1 for 12 nights from him. Mm-hmm. Like I think overall consistency and a better 2-point game from him would be like a better, just like his game inside the arc was not as good as it should have been, basically.
Yeah.
I'd also like to see more just passing, basically. I think Obi said he's really worked on his defense and his 3-point shooting because he thinks those are things that are going to get him more playing time. Obi's known to also be, I think Obi and IQ supposedly worked out a lot together this summer. And Obi's supposed to have like a crazy work ethic, and so is IQ. I expect to see a decent jump from Obi, especially.
Mm-hmm.
I think IQ, it'd be harder to make a giant jump in the second year, but I think Obi, we're going to be like watching him going like, there'll be some points we'll watch him and go, hey, I'd like to see Obi out there instead of Randall at times.
I don't think we'll ever say that, but
you don't think so? You don't think
no.
Like on a night where Randall looks a little off and Obi like injects some like fire into the offense?
I hope so, but I don't know.
One thing we're not going to see very much of is the two of them playing together, by the way, Randall and Obi.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
I think Tibbs was quoted as saying it just doesn't see it working on defense.
Makes sense.
So, what's your next question?
I actually had one about the rookies, so we got that. How confident are you that Kemba is going to play the majority of the season?
I mean, I'm not at all. I mean, like, I would say over under Kemba plays 60 games.
I think 60 would be good. I'd be all right with 60.
So a friend of mine who's a Celtics fan is like, we're talking about Kemba on defense, and he's like, no. Kemba really gives effort on defense. And I was like, so he's gonna be a good defender? He's like, no, he's too short and he gets burned all the time on defense. He's terrible. He just gives effort on defense.
I mean, I'd rather that than a guy who you know can be good on defense and just doesn't try.
I mean, should we be worried
Might be
about
the same guy who did a lot of ISO plays.
Yeah. I mean, right now we have 2 point guards whose defense, like Rose also, he's just a little slower now. He tries on defense with Tibbs coaching him. Are we going to suffer because our point guards just aren't good on defense, basically?
I mean,
how big of an issue is this going to be?
Kemba's not as good as Alfred on defense.
Are you making a joke or not?
Alfred wasn't terrible on defense. In fact, that was probably the strongest part of his game.
He wasn't a good defender, but he's probably
was all right.
Better than
he's
probably better than what I mean. People killed Alfred for his defense. Also, I know he was known to be his defense was he was more known for, and he wasn't a very good defender. He's probably a better defender than Kemba. Is that like were you gonna hate me for saying that?
No, I think that's fair. And Bullock is a better defender than Fournier. So
yeah,
the defense is definitely taking a step back. But on the other hand, you're replacing Alfred's like 3 points a game for 20 from Kemba, and Fournier can get close to 20. So the offense is going to be much better. They're sacrificing defense for offense, but I think you're getting way more offense for maybe a little bit less defense.
So the rumor was, and this actually my next question was about the drop off in defense, and Bullock, are we going to really feel it? Last season, I mean, the strength from this team was the defense, absolutely, and the weakness was the offense. And so, saying like we have to give a little bit on defense to get better as a team offensively, it doesn't seem nothing absurd about that, right?
Right.
And basically, they said like we need more ball handling, we need to get more 3-point shooting. They brought that in. How much of a drop off do you think is going to be on defense? Like, what's going to happen with this team on defense?
I don't think it's
how concerned should we be?
I don't think it's going to be a huge drop off, just because everyone who seems to play for Tibbs seems to get better on defense, figure it out more. The team scheme, I guess, helps a lot. Yeah. So like you have guys that have a history of being bad defenders, and then they like Derrick Rose, like he wasn't known for his defense, and
only when he plays for Tibbs does he look like a decent defender.
Right. And on other teams, you're like, wow, he's getting shredded. So what happened?
I don't think Bullock is going to look as good as Dallas hopes on defense. I think there's something to like the way, what's her name? D'Antoni, the way D'Antoni makes everyone's offensive numbers look a little better. I think the way everyone buys into Tibbs, their defensive numbers look a little better.
No, I would agree with that.
And I think generally speaking, the defense next year, I'm not like, we may not be quite as good. We still have rim protection. Randall had a great year in defense last year, and he's still going to have a good year. Fournier may not be the defender Bullock is. He's still got the length. And you have to think like certain guys will look a little better on defense. IQ may look a little better this season. RJ, who hopefully it sounds like he took basically what Tibbs said about defense, took that challenge. Maybe he'll be a little bit better. And both these rookies they brought in, Grimes and McBride, look like they're solid. Like look like they could be solid defenders.
Yeah,
I'm excited, Jay. Are you excited?
I'm excited. I will be more excited in 2 weeks because I have a hard time getting excited over preseason because somebody's going to have a good game and everyone's going to want to lose their mind. And I just keep referring back to the Balkman game. And
Jay, listen. We were, by the way, this time last year, we were just like in despair about this team. And then they played like a preseason game. We were like, wait a second. Is there some reason to get excited? By the end of the preseason game, we were both like, this could be actually like, this team could actually be like decent.
That is true. 12 months ago, you had to literally give me a pep talk. Like, just do the show for one more month. We'll see how they are. I know that the preseason does not matter that much, but it would be interesting to see how these guys play together on preseason.
And also the Knicks, everyone else probably is like, it's preseason, we'll put some effort in, like whatever. Tibbs is like, it's preseason. We got to win the preseason title. We're all playing tonight.
Exactly. 39 minutes for Randall.
It'll be interesting to see how this goes. I kind of did my question right with the defensive drop off. By the way, and will the loss of Frank hurt us on defense?
Okay, so moving right along. RJ, do you expect he got a lot better last year? Do you expect another big leap from him, or is it going to be now more incremental?
I think it has to be incremental. He shot most of the season 40% from three. I think if anything, you'll see a little bit of a regression from there. Like he's not going to be quite the 3-point shooter he was for like most of the season. But I'd like the big jump I think let's see from RJ more than anything is some nights he looked really good, some nights he looked invisible. I think a player basically goes from like a guy that ends up being a star, which hopefully he'll become one. Their first step is becoming like a guy some nights is really good, but their next step to being a really great player is consistency. And I think we'll see more of that this season. He'll probably get 16, 17 points a game like he got last season, but there'll be more nights, or maybe 20. There'll be more nights where you're like, RJ really stepped up, and there'll be less invisible nights. What do you think?
I think he has potential to repeat what he did last year, because if you think about it, teams were able to focus on him a lot more last year because you had lineups with Noel and Peyton, so that 40% of the lineup, you don't have to worry about their offense at all.
Yeah.
So now you have threats at all. If Noel can hit a couple of threes, you have threats at all five, but at least four positions, you have offensive threats. And
right. I guess like half the season, really, like it was Randall, the next guy who could score, the next guy who can do anything was really, I mean, you had Burks like coming off the bench, but really was a lot of pressure was on RJ.
Yeah.
Once they got Rose, it took a little bit of pressure away. This year, there's got a lot more options.
Yeah, because it'll be probably Randall, then Kemba, then Fournier, and then Barrett as far as the pecking order. So when you're the fourth option on offense, you can do what you want. So
right, you have like
really
the defender on you is not as strong. Like
yeah, this could be really good for him.
Having 2 point guards who can pass you would be really nice and helpful.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I mean,
it's gonna be interesting.
And my last question. So a lot of the news outlets, ESPN, SI, they are not high on the Knicks this season. So do you think they're even going to sniff the fourth seed? Do you expect them to finish lower in the standings?
I think the over-under was something like 41 or 42 wins. The Knicks are going over. There's no doubt in my mind. I am very happy, Jay, to make a bet. We can... I am going to bet the over on this. How much? I think I'd put $100 down on this.
Yeah, I am not going to take the under on that. I will not bet you on that.
No, I'm not asking you. I'll figure out how to actually make this bet.
I think the over is... I don't see how they don't. They got better, and they have 10 more games to get the same amount of wins.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the team really got better. Also, their record with Rose, once they got Rose, their record was pretty phenomenal, actually. Like once they got Rose, I think with Rose, they were something like 25-9 or 25-10. Like it was a ridiculous record when Rose was playing. The roster got better. Everyone buys into this coach right now. I don't see how it doesn't get better from here. I mean, I guess like maybe they get the same number of wins as last year, but they're not going below.
I mean, I get that some teams got better, but I think you could also argue that some teams got worse. I mean, I would say they're going to be anywhere from 4 to 6. 6 will be fine. They're going to stay out of the play-in tournament. Yeah, I think so too. We don't know what's going to happen to Philly. They could very well end up worse than last year.
Where do you see? So here's a question for you. Where do you see regression happening? I said before, RJ, maybe he's shocked. Maybe he doesn't shoot quite as well. Where else are we going to see regression? Like we'll see good things happen with leaps with some players. Are there going to be some regressions? Because everyone basically, ESPN also, it's like all these outlets that are basically saying the Knicks are not going to be as good. They're just saying the Knicks will regress. Like they kind of outplayed they played above their level last year, and they'll come back down to earth. I think they're going to be as good or better, but where's the regression going to happen?
I think if it it's going to happen, it's going to happen at the 3-point line. A lot of guys shot well above their career average from the 3. So either they all got better at shooting, or they had an outlier year, and then they'll regress back to the mean.
Yeah, a lot of guys shot really well. I'd say the numbers will go a little bit down there. But you add guys who can shoot, so it should even out a little bit. The area where they're really going to regress is their defense on 3-point shots. They left a lot of guys open on the 3, and somehow the Knicks left everyone open shooting threes, yet had one of the best defenses. They were one of the best teams defending the 3-point shot in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
There are too many guys open for that number to fit out the stick.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I don't know. I feel like they got better at almost every position, so I really don't know where the regression is supposed to be happening.
I mean, also, like, one thing the team hasn't really had in a long time is continuity. They have a lot of guys are coming back, so a lot of, like, everyone had to kind of, like, learn Tibbs' system, play in it, and get better in it. Most of the guys played in it last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that should make a huge difference also.
Yeah.
What are you expecting from Knox, who's barely hanging on to this roster by a thread?
Who's barely making the roster?
Knox.
Yeah.
Knox.
Yeah.
What do you remember Kevin Knox? Like,
barely.
Remember he was in this, like, remember I wanted Michael Porter, but the Knicks were very savvy and took Kevin Knox instead because Michael Porter just got a max contract and Knox is getting, like, barely any money.
Yeah.
So they saved some money there, but I have to give a max contract to Michael Porter.
I don't think we're going to see much of Knox at all.
He's really unlike the. He should probably play in the G League, right?
Who's he taking minutes from?
'Cause I think Grimes and McBride are going to be ahead of him pretty fast, if not already ahead of him.
Right, and if those guys are playing good, you might see Fournier play some minutes at the 3, which is the rest of Knox's minutes. So,
right, the only way Knox gets 20 minutes a night is either he's taking some insane leap we're about to see in tomorrow night's preseason game, or everyone is injured.
Yeah, it really, yeah. I mean, I was thinking, Noel's got this big contract. Mitch hasn't really he hasn't signed the extension, right?
He hasn't gotten the extension. They didn't offer it.
Right, that's what I mean. So
Yeah.
It could be a potential trade in the future.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that's been discussed is the idea that the Knicks are standing pat. They're like, we have some assets. We will make a big trade if the right one comes across.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think any right trades out there? I mean, I guess the questions are the two obvious guys right now are Karl Anthony Towns and Ben Simmons. Would you try to make a move for either guy?
I mean, if those teams want Mitch and Knox and like a draft pick or two, yes.
So basically, they're all going to be a bunch of draft. We don't have a lot of assets we're going to put in a trade that's going to be very helpful because we're not going to trading RJ doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. It's probably going to be a bunch of draft picks.
Yeah, I think you need to keep Randall and Barrett, or else you have an all-star with not much around him, and then what does that do? Now you're capped out. We've been through this. We went through this again with the guy who played ISO and didn't.
I mean, for the right guy, I would not be mind giving a boatload of draft picks if it meant like really making the roster a lot better.
Yeah.
But really, how does Towns fit on this team? Tibbs coached him already, and he couldn't get him to play defense.
Right.
Do you think Tibbs really wants to coach him again?
I don't think Towns is as good of a fit as Simmons. I think you play Simmons at the 5.
Yeah, I think Simmons would work at the 5. Simmons would be the more interesting player to get. I don't think Towns makes any sense in this team.
He puts up amazing, like, top 5 in the league offensive numbers, but, like, it seems like it doesn't matter because, like, his defense is so bad. His teams aren't winning.
I saw somewhere people were commenting some where they were like, they were talking about this trade, of this idea, and they were like, one guy was like, Randall had a better season than Cat. Why are we going to get him? And the other guy was like, what are you talking about? Cat puts up these great numbers. He's like, forget the numbers. Randall got us to the 4 seed. Cat got them to got them to the draft lottery like he does every season.
Yeah.
It doesn't Cat is a very good player. I think having a big who doesn't play defense is just not. It is not a path to winning in this league.
Right. Yeah.
How many teams win with a big who doesn't play defense?
You're better off with a big who plays defense and doesn't play offense.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think like what Mitch does, being like, I mean, Noel also like just putting in solid rim protection and being able to dunk basically catch a lob, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I
mean, a lot of the teams that made it really far didn't have a ton of offense. I mean, you had Gobert, the number 1 team in the league, going into the playoffs.
I mean, they basically in the playoffs he got exposed, but he still they had a great record with him.
Would he have been as exposed if Mitchell and Conley didn't get injured, though?
No, of course not. Obviously, that makes a big difference. I just think defense is just too. I think you could have a point guard that doesn't play defense. You cannot have a center that does not play defense.
Yeah, exactly.
So Simmons, on the other hand, I think he could be a Draymond Green type.
Yeah.
Do you think? Would you go all in to get Simmons?
Depends what your definition of all in is.
Okay, let's say 3 first-round picks. I'm trying to think of something that would actually get him. 3 first-round picks, plus you're giving Mitch because you're making him play center, and they want an IQ, say. Let's say those guys. Seems like a reasonable.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah,
I would do that.
Yeah.
I think Philly wants more, and they're probably not going to talk to the Knicks about this, but I would do that. And then the idea of I mean, the big thing would basically getting a star player to force his way to New York the way Harden forced his way to the Nets. And then you're thinking of them like a guy like Dame.
Right.
Would you go all in for Dame?
Yeah, I think so. He's I don't know. He's over 30, right?
He's over 30. I mean, if you're going all in, though, you're also going into win now mode.
I know.
This is not slowly develop anymore. Once you go all in for a player, you're we're contending this season. There's not a build anymore if you go all in.
I just always get nervous going all in for a guy who's over 30. You never know. He could play great till he's 36. The wheels could fall off the very next year. You never know. It's risky.
Also, another thing that could happen is a guy could force his way out of a team like a bad situation, like a De'Aaron Fox, where Sacramento's struggling. Maybe you can get a guy like De'Aaron Fox and build with him.
I don't think you get De'Aaron Fox. You could get Buddy Hield, but I don't think Sacramento, Fox is probably going to be the last guy on that roster they're going to get rid of.
Unless he just says, I don't want to be here.
Right.
By the way, do you know what I was reading that, so the Ben Simmons situation. Currently, he's refusing to play. What happens if the Philly refuses to trade him and he refuses to play? Do you know what ends up happening?
He loses money every single game.
Right, but what if he's just I'm just not coming. He just he holds on to. He's I'm just not coming till they trade me. What actually happens? Because obviously the contract's a certain amount of years, right?
4 more, yeah.
Well, obviously 4 more years. I mean, it'd be a big deal if Philly obviously did not play him for 4 more years.
That would be hilarious. He just eats $120 million.
But I guess basically the thing is, you can't run out your contract if you refuse to show up. If you refuse to come to play, the team basically owns you. Even after the contract expires, you can't go to another team basically without their permission. So basically, the trump card goes to Philly. Philly can eventually ban you from the NBA. They can prevent you from playing. If you're not going to play for them, they can prevent you from playing again in the NBA.
Wow, that's interesting.
But that's also, I guess, 4 more years. He'll get his money, but after the contract's over, he'll be it's over, and they'll be well, there's a clause here saying basically, we have to approve you going back to anyone else in the NBA and go after yourself. We're not going to let you go anywhere else.
He doesn't. It's not like he'll get his money. They can.
Oh yeah, they can find him. You're right. Also, so what an absurd situation though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I can go back maybe a month and a half ago and bet the under for Philly.
Yeah, seriously.
What What other any other? So the team looks. Let's wrap this up. But as far as the team, do we have any emails by the way, Jay?
No, but Brooklyn Adrian asks, what are you most looking forward to this season?
Besides watching the Knicks, I am looking forward to. I mean, this is more of a bigger point, but I am looking forward to just I don't know what's gonna happen in the playoffs. I'm looking forward to a fun season where the Knicks compete every night and they have a decent record at it. I have to think the Knicks are going to win at least 45, 46 games, if not close. Am I crazy to say 50?
I don't think you're crazy. I mean, I'm being cautiously optimistic at 45, but I wouldn't be shocked if they won more.
Yeah, I am so looking forward also to seeing. I think I hated what they did on draft night as far as trading away a draft pick. At the same time, I think the guys they got, Grimes and McBride, are actually going to contribute this year. I think this team's going to be a really fun and really deep team.
So they were good last year, but we weren't expecting it. So I'm looking forward to starting the season like up here and watching an entire season for the first time, I think since the 90s, where I'm like, I think they're going to be good and they're going to be good. And like, it's going to be like a fun ride. Even the 54-win season, we didn't think they were going to be that good. That was kind of fluky too.
Yeah, that was a big surprise. I think this is going to be a really fun season where like we'll be arguing about playing time, but like both guys will be arguing about will be like guys we both like. Mm-hmm. There's no Elfrid Payton on this roster. There's no polarizing player like Frank where people are gonna like if people are saying like McBride needs to play, they're not going to be insane about it. And if they're asking for playing time, he'll probably have shown something on the court.
I'm sure Nick's Twitter will find one player to. They'll pick the 15th guy. The Henry Sims should be get 47 minutes a game, or I don't know.
God, Doug Bacon was in there. I mean, the game Knicks were up by 30, but how do you put Doug Bacon in there?
Is it Doug Bacon?
I don't know. What is his name?
Is it Dwayne Bacon?
It's Dwayne Bacon.
Right? Yeah. I was like, is there another Bacon now?
The entire G League team is just guys named Bacon. Anything? I guess. Jay, so you're looking forward to. I guess we're both looking forward to the consistent winning. What are you not looking forward to?
I'm not looking forward to the first time Kemba misses a game because then I'm going to spend that entire time he's out worrying that this is it for his knee, and I'm just not going to feel good till he comes back.
Yeah, he's also his game is so built on speed.
I know
that. But he became a very good outside shooter. I wonder if he can adapt his game to make it like the way Derrick Rose has adapted his game to like not always rely on his speed and still be a very effective player.
Well, the thing is, when he was in Charlotte, there wasn't much around him. He's got a lot around. He's not even the number one option now, so maybe he can pick and choose his spots, play in spurts, and not burn himself out.
I'm so excited to watch this team.
Me too. We are nyknickspodcast@gmail.com, nyknickspodcast on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Our Patreon is nyknickspodcast. The New York Knicks Podcast.com is our website where you can get New York Knicks Podcast shirts. There's like 3 left. And we have a couple more questions in the chat.
I was going to ask you for a couple bold predictions, but ask those questions instead.
X Factor and Scapegoat.
X Factor, McBride. I think McBride will be an X Factor. Who will get by the end of the season he'll be this season's IQ. And Scapegoat will be. I don't know. There's no one to really be a scapegoat in this team.
I think Randall will be the scapegoat.
Really?
He's the best player. So I think if they're not good, it doesn't matter if 5 other players get injured, they're going to put the blame on him.
I mean, I think the fan love for him has turned around so much that I guess there'll be nights when he's off, but I think generally speaking, the fans are going to be in his corner.
I hope so. I saw some things on Twitter during the playoffs, see, I knew it. You got to trade this guy, and it's like he had like 5 bad games, like when he was the only option. Like he was bad, but
yeah,
X Factor. I still think the X Factor is Kemba. The team's ceiling goes down significantly if he's a mess.
You're right. Yeah, it makes a huge difference having Kemba. Next.
Anthony wants to know if Rose can win Sixth Man of the Year.
He won it last season, right? Or am I making that up? Did he actually win it last year?
I think you made that up.
But who won it last year?
I don't remember.
It was Jordan Clarkson. Sorry,
Right.
He was like third or fourth. Like
Yeah.
he was in the running though. I think he was top 3. Maybe I'm making that up also. But anyway,
He could. Yeah.
He could win them Sixth Man of the Year. There's no reason he can't.
And let's see. Is Andrew said, is Kemba made by GE Appliances? If you listen to our other show, The Brink of Sanity, that's our comedy podcast, you could hear all about how all of my GE appliances all simultaneously broke in my kitchen. Fridge, microwave, stove.
Yeah. Rose was third place, by the way. I'm looking at now. Right. And Joe Ingles was Ingles. Sorry, I'm not Ingles. Joe Ingles was second, and Rose was third.
Okay.
You know who was fifth? You know who was fifth in the Sixth Man of the Year voting?
Burks?
No, I'm bringing him up for a reason. Timmy Hardaway.
Okay. I mean, doesn't he start?
I guess I don't know. I don't know. Watch.
How do you start and win Sixth Man of the Year?
Actually, but Dallas. But Jalen Brunson was in fourth. Hardaway was fifth, and seventh was Carmelo, which I don't believe that one.
So, okay, he started 31 games out of 70.
Whatever.
And that's almost half the games he started.
I like how Dallas was like,
I'm calling shenanigans on that Sixth
you
Man
know,
of the Year.
if we could build our team around, let's see, we can get a guy from Europe who looks like a generational player, and then get the 2019 Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, they have 5 Knicks cast-offs, and I don't think they're going to be happy with that.
I mean, I think that where they really screwed up was not getting ES Kanter.
I'm actually shocked they didn't. I really am.
So make some bold predictions of this team. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I am going to say that this team will win 50 games.
Okay. I'm going to say Barrett averages over 20 points a game.
Oh. I am going to say IQ shoots over 40% from 3. I don't know how bold that really is, but.
Okay. I'm going to say Noel keeps the starting spot at center all season.
Oh. I'm going to say if RJ Barrett's averaging 20 points a game, over 20 points a game, he could be an all-star.
He could.
What other bold predictions? I am going to predict.
Yeah, let's do it. Knicks have 2 all-stars next season.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, why not? Nothing to lose here. By the way, 2. I was going to say 3. I thought Kemba's making it all-time.
He might. He might. I mean, it's the New York market. Like, he might get it just on voting.
Yeah, if you play well, you get a lot of votes.
I mean, yeah, if he comes in, doesn't miss a lot of games, and averages 20 points a game, he's almost a lock to make an all-star team.
I predict that there's not a single Knick who believes the Earth is flat. That's not a and who refuses to get the vaccine, like a certain New York team.
That is also true. He's going to be the last holdout. I hope he does, because Wiggins got vaccinated.
Wiggins got it. Yeah.
I really hope Kyrie's the last one in the whole NBA. That would be so amazing.
My God, something. Any other questions from the chat room?
We got one last one. Do you see more small ball lineup or big lineup? He likes both.
That is a good question. So small ball lineup, you put Randall at the center?
I would think so. Yeah, you can't really have small ball, Noel or Robinson.
What kind of lineups are we expecting to see? So we're like obviously the starting lineup looks like it's going to be Kemba, Fournier, RJ, Randall, and Noel, right?
Yeah.
What other interesting lineups? And so the bench unit that makes the bench unit: Rose, IQ, Toppin. Who am I missing? Burks. Who's the 5th guy?
Gibson until Robinson.
Gibson.
Comes back.
Yeah, Gibson or Mitch, basically. What other interesting lineups are you gonna expect? maybe have like maybe you'll see a bench unit where it'll be Rose, IQ, McBride, Grimes, and Toppin.
Mm-hmm.
Or Burks, Grimes, and Ty. I'm very excited to see this team. This is the.
Yeah.
I keep saying it, but this is the deepest team we've had in a long time. I'm sure because of how excited I am. Like in the next 2 weeks, horrible things will befall this team, and by 2 shows from now, I'll be like, I can't believe the season's already over. But something terrible is going to happen.
Kemba, IQ, Fournier, RJ Randall. That would be an interesting lineup too.
Yeah.
And Anthony says Kyrie for Ben Simmons. What do you think?
If I'm the Nets, I do that.
Yeah. Do you do that I don't know if you do that if you're Philly. I don't think you do.
The problem really is, I mean, Kyrie is if his head's on straight, I'd rather have Kyrie out there, but I think I'd rather have Ben Simmons who he's just going to create less drama. I mean, the guy who basically refuses to show up to Philly games is going to create less drama.
Well, also Kyrie has finished 3 out of the last 4 seasons in a suit.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, this team is the Nets are those guys are so goddamn good, and I don't think there's a shot. They're not winning the title. They're going to have too many injury issues. Too many problems are going to happen. I think that team is going to be one. We're going to look back at that team as like how the hell did they put this team together and not win a title? And I'm going to smile.
I mean, I think it all comes down to Durant. I still think, even though they have Harden and Kyrie, that Durant is by far the best player on that team.
Yeah.
And if he's not healthy, I don't think they can win.
I think
they almost won with Harden and Kyrie injured, but I think if Durant goes down, they have no shot.
I mean, a healthy Harden and a healthy Durant, they could probably win without Kyrie.
Right. But if they had Harden and Kyrie and not Durant, I don't think they could.
I agree with that also.
Yeah.
Oh, and bold prediction, Randall's league MVP. Let's just do that.
Let's do it. Tibbs back-to-back Coach of the Year.
Back-to-back.
All right. Thank you guys for joining in the chat. It's been fun. If you're not following, you can hit follow and you get a notification when we go live. And you can check out our comedy show when we do it here. And if you're listening through the podcast, The Brink of Sanity is our other show. And we do our shows on Twitch, twitch.tv/crumpledbacon. And I post all the stuff on YouTube. So you could check that out. The YouTube channel is TITOWAJ. Brink. I just found out one of the Brinks didn't upload properly. I posted it 3 years ago, and I'm just finding out about it. So
there was a lost episode?
Apparently, episode 296 is only 10 minutes long, so I'm going to re-upload that tomorrow.
Ah, what was give any previews? What was the episode about?
I could pull it up real quick, and I think
that's crazy.
I know. Somebody's just telling me. Thank
We're
you,
being
Lorenzo.
censored.
So,
by the way, you know what? We asked the question before, what I'm most looking forward to, and I gave a Knicks answer. I'm going to give one more thing I am most looking forward to.
Okay.
The next thing I'm most looking forward to is watching Trae Young leap into a guy, to draw a foul, and have the refs just stare at him and look away with no foul called. I'm looking forward to these new rules where the BS fouls are no longer called.
It should be interesting. I mean, I don't know. I hope it's not like that year they said they're going to give techs for everything, and then they forgot about it 5 games into the season.
Yeah, I mean, they do some weirds, the weird things they do. Sometimes they work on things like when a guy's standing and he goes to dribble, and somehow he moves his pivot foot, and they call it. And even though that move doesn't seem to give anyone an advantage, and it's kind of just an annoying travel call, this would be, I mean, this would be so. It would take away Trae Young's weapon. It would take away James Harden's weapon. It would take away IQ's weapon. Anyone that uses the rules to draw BS fouls can't do that anymore. Would just be wonderful.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind when IQ did it, obviously, but I'm glad that's gone. But let's hear about this Brink episode.
So the Brink episode, we talk about flat Earth, so that's fitting.
Oh, perfect.
Getting hacked, neighbors. I rant about how lawns are a scam, And
Lawns are a scam.
yeah, yep. Stay tuned for that.
Okay, I'm kind of, I don't even remember that.
All right, so yeah, I'll put that up tomorrow morning as well. And,
Oh my God, this is crazy with the lost episodes.
I know, Lost Brink episode. All right, so yeah, we'll be back. We'll do a new Brink episode soon as well. We'll have to figure that out. But
And we're gonna do a lot more Knicks episodes because the Knicks are playing basketball.
Exactly. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. Go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say goodbye. I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, 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 everybody.
I mean, I can always do probably if we have to do any kind of second episode a week, it'd have to be like a 9:15 start or 9:10. Like I can probably come to do like a 9:10 start, and we could just do like a 30-minute episode.
All right.
I don't know. Hopefully the season goes so well. We're like dying to do episodes because we're having so much fun.
Yeah, but I still like Brink, so I'd like to keep.
No. I want to keep doing both. I enjoy Brink. I generally enjoy Brink more, but if the Knicks are playing well, I'm very happy to talk Knicks also.
Andrew said we all know what Mark brought up during that episode.
What did I bring up there in the episode? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And Anthony said, have we ever thought about listening to old episodes and commenting on top to see where your mind was 200 episodes ago?
The only thing about that would be I could not hear my voice. But if we wanted to comment on like general topics, like if you guys could give us like, here's some things you said in the episode and we comment on that later, that would be the ideal.
Are you talking about like Mystery Science Theatering, our own show?
I guess that's what they're talking about. But I was saying for us, it would be great if like a listener basically listen, like here's like 5 things you guys said in the episode that were kind of crazy or interesting. Comment on your views on them now.
Well, also you weren't in a lot of the first 100 episodes.
No, I like going back and listening to those.
Yeah, we could do a markless episode.
I would do that. How would we pull that off? Like a Mystery Science? How would you do that? At least there'd be no intellectual property issues.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know. We would either have to put the volume low or I would have to like pause it and then comment. I don't know if it'd be kind of a mess, I would think.
It would probably, this would probably require work from you, but like, and which I'm not asking you to do. But if you could take the best 20 minutes from the show and we could talk about those 20 minutes where we were pausing and going.
Anthony said, Jay already does all the work. Now you want them to do the work. Good one.
But it would be that'd be kind of a fun, like the problem really is that like to do what they're talking about, we can't talk over it really. You'd have to pause it or else it'd be too much sound. And
especially since one of the voices would be me. You wouldn't know if it was the old recording or the current me talking now. I guess like if there was like a clip, like a 2-minute clip, we could play that and then comment on that.
Yeah. There's a podcast I listen to where they'll talk about something they recorded and then go to the recording, but not put any kind of something in between. And it's so annoying because you can't tell sometimes when they stop talking when this clip starts.
Right.